right, so we're here in person. Very excited to have this retreat together. So, as you know, there are two RCs, the Resource Center, Michigan, Pittsburgh, Wyss, led by Dave, who's the PI, and the Sea Doctor on the West Coast, with me and my partner in crime, Jeff Lotz. And we're just really delighted to welcome all of you here. So the really the centerpiece of this retreat is for everyone to see all the exciting ITP projects. And you will see the breadth and the depth and all the exciting advancement all the ITPs have been making. And, you know, we have had a lot of FDA interactions, and then people are actively planning for clinical trials, or, you know, just you get to see each ITP project. So these are all the institutions that are part of this DOCTRC program. And of course, this cannot take place without the vision and the support from NIDCR and also our advisors and the partners and panelists who have really helped us to evaluate all these ITP projects over the years. You know, we seem like we have reviews just very often. And then as you can see how this process has worked for our ITP teams. And the ITP teams, you know, we have quarterly reports, and every 6 months we have our own center retreat, and then here we have our joint retreat. So we're really very grateful for the support from NIDCR. I'm not gonna read through all these names, but you know, the purpose of our these two RCs is really to serve as the nation's consortium to accelerate regenerative therapies for dental, oral, and craniofacial tissues. And as you can see you will see from the presentation, our ITPs really cover a very diverse array of tissue types. I wanted to really just give a shout out to our advisory board, and they have really been helping us with all the reviews and then providing guidance. Marie C.T., Erica DeBauer, Pat Olson, and Brendan Lee, who have been with us for the stage 3 support. So there are two RCs, but one consortium. We work together really as a team to help our ITP teams. We have reciprocal board membership, and we join each other's calls and then provide feedback. And also we have a joint website. If you go to that website, you will see the ITP teams are really listed under tissue types, but you know, really not separated by RCs. And we have a joint external advisory board. And I think the most exciting part really for the two RCs working together is we have this review process. We always work with each other and share the resources, whether these are clinical experts or regulatory experts or some of the cross RC training that we have been doing to help our ITP teams and working with regulatory experts or manufacturers, and then also leveraging on the institutional support, such as CTSA or CTSI. Just very recently, we been working with the CTSA at USC, and we submitted an alpha clinic application to the California Regenerative Medicine CERM that got a perfect score, and then we'll be able to get a alpha clinic that will help to support gene therapy and the cell therapy. So these are really very exciting development that we have been able to do. Without the DOCTRC support, we wouldn't be able to do that. So we're here because all the groundwork that has been done during the stage 1 and the stage 2 support of this DOCTRC program. And as Jennifer shared with you, we have had so many applications going through, and then every one of these applications has been evaluated by this sort of a two-stage process. First, the 2-page application would come in, and then will be evaluated by basic scientists, a clinician, scientists, and then industry expert, just to have really a critical look of whether there's a real clinical need for this particular type of regeneration. And from there, when it's deemed really something that we need, and then so the applicant's invited to write a 5-page full proposal. And then from there, it's really just laying out the milestones. Unlike, the traditional R01s or the R grants, these are really milestone-driven research projects, just very, much measured every 3 months how well you are hitting the benchmarks. And we entered stage 3 funding support in the middle of the pandemic in May 2020. But since then, despite all the challenges, and I think we have really made a very, very significant progress, as you will see from the ITP presentations. And the RCs, the 2 RCs, resource centers, have really provided very important support to these ITP teams in terms of what's the strategy moving forward in terms of preclinical validation and how to go about manufacturing the product. And then in some cases now planning for a phase 1 clinical trial. So as these ITP teams begin to mature, they exit either through doing some clinical trial or as a device, and then continue to move forward, and then with the clinical adoption. What really, you will see highlighted in this presentation is we started with really looking at what the final product will look like and work backwards, and then getting all the parts together to support these ITP teams so they can really move through the process. Because, for many of us who are traditionally kind of a R01-driven type of hypothesis-driven scientists, this is really has been a very good learning process, but also very, very, very rewarding. So our current ITP portfolio, this really, you'll see the number actually in comparison to what we had about a year ago, the number has reduced. But what really that reflects is this kind of a sort of a funneling process where we deselect some of the projects that are, really not as getting ready for a clinical trial or for FDA interaction. And then you will see, close to 70% of our ITPs now have had successful FDA interaction. And then 95% of ITPs have had either a pending or issued patent. So that's quite remarkable, right? I mean, in such a very short period of time. And in terms of looking at the statistics, with the how the ITPs represent whether it's an internal from the institutions are evolved in these RCs versus the external. So we probably pretty much have like half and half. So really have a good representation from different parts, and the external ones, from for-profit or non-for-profit and industry. And in terms of the tissue that we cover in this, the 2 RC supported ITPs, you can see bone tissue, dental, and then but also from salivary gland to TMJ to periodontal nerve and muscle regeneration. It really covers the broad spectrum of all the tissues, how to put together our craniofacial complex. And in terms of the technology, we're very excited to see also a diverse representation, device, drug, biological, which is probably very, as you can imagine, pretty challenging, right? But, we're really moving forward with these projects. So the next slide here, I will summarize what the CDOCTR program has been doing in 2022. And then after that, I'll turn it over to Dave, who will continue with the presentation and then to cover the rest of this part of the presentation. So in the first quarter, we brought in two very exciting new teams, Hydronoble, led by Sarah and Chelsea Bain, Sarah Knox and Chelsea Bainey, working on salivary gland regeneration, and Mike Longacre's group at Stanford. And so they moved from a stage 2 to stage 3. And then the DOCTRC program had presented at the ADOCR annual meeting in March. And Tara Agalu, who presented or completed her training at the entrepreneurship program at Berkeley. And then Longacre's team had a paper published on this scarless wound healing in stem cell. As we move into a second quarter, we had our in-person retreat for the CDOCTR program at UCLA. And then Jennifer came, Alisef, who came give a talk on translational research. I think also the two panel discussions really highlighted where our ITP teams are at this point, and then what we are moving forward. Is this light for me? Okay. Okay, good. I'm almost there. And Derek One's project has had ITP, had an FDA, successful FDA interaction. And Jeff Gardner's group also is getting ready to submit their IND. And my team, as I will share with you, received FDA response on the pre-RFD, and then we're moving forward with that. And then also we issued our request for proposal for the 5th cohort of ITP teams. And as we move into fourth quarter, our innovator networking series was very successful. And also we had the US patent issued for our team. And then Dennis Zico's group had their large animal TMJ study published this year. And then today we're gonna, or tomorrow, we're gonna hear the newly selected 3 ITP teams as they present, as they prepare to enter stage 3 funding support. So at this point, I will turn it over to Dave, and who will continue with this part of the presentation.
Hey, thanks, Yang, and let me extend my welcome to everyone. It's great to be here in person, and I think last time we were here in this hotel in person, it was a polar vortex. The temperature was like -30, so it's rainy, but about 70 degrees warmer. I'll try to keep us on track and shorten some of my comments. We have had a really busy year. I just want to highlight what's in red that speaks to our successes, and I'll show on the next slide how we define success. But some of our ITPs, Osteo, received SBIR funding from NIDCR in addition to NSF SBIR. Greenmark has secured follow-on investments. Technology out of the University of Pittsburgh had a new co-formation and an investment partner. They now operate the ITP under Araxis. Luis Bertazzoni and Pam Yellick formed a new company, Regenerative, from their ITP. Steve Feinberg's ITP has been engaged with Richard McFarland and the Tissue Foundry for some of their stem cell work. And RevBio technologies, sister technologies from their ITP received UK approval for a clinical trial. So collectively, in just 2022 to date, 5 of the ITP teams have had interactions with the FDA. So what's in red speaks to some of our successes. And how do we measure success? The aggregate of all these bullets collapses into our ability to provide the structure and the guidance and the resources to de-risk technologies to the point that they're attractive to third-party funding, whether it's federal funding for in-human studies or third-party commercial funding or other avenues. So success is defined by these regulatory metrics, scientific metrics, and commercialization metrics, but it all collapses into our ability to help projects get de-risked. So we've learned over the course of this consortium that we need to develop more ITP-specific plans for the different trajectories and different exit plans. So the ITPs in this consortium can really be bucketed into one of 4 buckets at the time they enter the program. Either an academic bucket in which the technology is early stage, an academic bucket in which the technology is more advanced, technology that has had a new company formed, and technology from an established company. So as the projects progress through the funnel that Yang showed, they're going left to right in terms of what bucket they're in. So we've been able to de-risk the technologies moving left to right here. And within each of these buckets, there can be a progression to the right or a downward progression in which the project exits, for example, to a UG3 or UH3 funding mechanism. From a later stage academic project, they can continue horizontally or they can exit vertically to new company formation or licensing of the technology. Similarly, new companies can progress and be to a more advanced company or progress downward towards SBIR or third-party funding. So the gist of all of this is this stat has been shown a couple of times already. About 2/3 of the ITPs have had some type of interactions with the FDA. And collectively, between the 2 resource centers, there's been about $18 million in follow-on funding and or fundraising. It's associated with about 10 specific follow-on grants. And between the 2 resource centers, a total of 7 SBIRs or STTRs have been funded, as well as 4 new companies formed. So as we look towards the future, and Jennifer touched on some of this in her talk, we first wanted to acknowledge what we think we've built. And it's really a unique model that provides an integrated and very collaborative structure, team guidance, team coaching of ITPs to get through the funnel that Yang showed, provision of standardization of guidance documents, such as the implementation of design control processes, and the flip, especially for the academic teams, flipping towards more milestone-driven rather than R01 specific aim-driven objectives. And also, we've done a lot of work on not just outreach, but also internal training on helping people put on a translational hat and what it really takes to translate an academic technology. So I think we see the value, the most important thing is the people, the infrastructure, and the network that we've been able to develop and develop in a doc-specific manner. Developing all of the infrastructure and expertise to help de-risk technologies and provide a lot of hands-on support for the teams to guide them through the funnel, as well as the funding and the resources to bridge the so-called valley of death and really support work, have the teams progress from left to right in those different buckets that very likely would not have been able to progress through more traditional funding mechanisms. So really all of this has been geared towards de-risking and accelerating the technologies and refilling the pipeline of technologies. As we think to the future, we are in the process of having listening sessions with various stakeholders, and these various stakeholders are shown in the light blue module, the ITPs, of course, potential funding partners, potential professional organization and standards, and foundations and other entities that have similar missions. And we're in the process of having listening sessions. We've completed the sessions with the ITPs, and industrial listening sessions are ongoing. Once we have that information in partnership with the NIH, we will synthesize the outcomes, and later in this meeting we'll have a listening session and get feedback from folks in the dental industry, and the synthesis of the outcomes in partnership with NIH will help develop a vision for what the future could look like. In the interest of time, I will just highlight how we're expanding our footprint and the impact. Outreach and educational programs, communication, developing standardization and QC and translational guidance documents for translating doc technologies, but larger technologies as well. Interfacing with our T32s and other NIH programs that Jennifer touched on, and thinking very strongly about what the future would look like. Do we want to maintain the status quo in terms of doc regenerative medicine, expand to other doc areas, expand outside of the doc sphere of influence? In the interest of time, the 10,000-foot message from this slide is that the DOCTRC program serves an educational mission and works closely with the various T32s or T90 R90s on the campuses to provide an overall infrastructure for translational education, and the arrow goes in both directions. We've had T32 trainees in the labs of ITP PIs that have done some of the customer discovery. All trainees are welcome to participate in the campus-wide educational efforts. We are very much committed to DEI within our program as part of outreach, and also addressing health disparities in various stages of the ITPs, the market assessment, the technology validation, can we come up with low-cost, low-tech solutions, and ultimately in the clinical trials. So I apologize for running over. Here's the agenda at a glance for the next 2.5 days. A couple of housekeeping notes. This afternoon, we'll bifurcate and have one session on listening with a dental advisor, a dental industry cohort, as well as an open panel discussion on clinical trial funding. And please note there's a reception tonight starting at 5:30 up on the 3rd floor. And if you'd be so kind as to fill out this survey on whether you're going to go to the tour of Menlo Ventures. And also built into this survey is if anyone needs a ride to the airport, we can arrange shuttles, but if you could give Mitsumi the head count on that. So again, welcome. Apologize for running over. The most important slide is here. Writing the RPPR is a piece of cake compared to putting this joint retreat together, and some of it live, some of it hybrid. So a big shout out, and let's give a round of applause to the operations team. So with that, welcome. Let's get to the more exciting stuff of hearing from the ITPs, and enjoy your day, and let's make it quite interactive and informative. So thanks, everybody.